This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
Anthony for three. Bang!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast, episode number 73. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
I'm Ruckus the Menace.
And this episode we'll be talking that good old baseball, that football, our good, bad, and ugly, the high heat, which is always very high of the heat, our color commentary, or this week it's called Hot Seat Tracker 1.0, as we talk about NFL coaches, and then we'll talk about our film room on the current results and what we predict for this week. And then our primetime game is going to be Immaculate Grid, so that'll be fun. And then we'll end the show with Stud and Dud. So without further ado, Spennis, do you want to start things off?
Hey, and we will kick this off with, you're going to notice that some sound is a little different on my end. And that is because now the PC, the beast, is up and running. So, with this, it's also been working like a charm. Been really glad to have some really good running of most of the AAA games that I had come to expect. My download speeds for big files are a little slow, but if that's the worst we're dealing with right now, I'll take this just about every single day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yep, and dude, think about it this way. If you were trying to run those games on your Chromebook, that Chromebook would have melted. You would have smelled the silicone burning.
Oh, yeah. But the Chromebook, I still have not given it back because I still use the Chromebook for the YouTube channel. I still use the Chromebook for the YouTube channel and making sure that all of my typing is done for the blah blah blah, the capture for the descriptions and titles and such for the and scheduling of our YouTube releases,
which is good. It's also good to have for like portable.
Yeah, and speaking of which, if you go into this Friday and see that there is no Jaguars video, do not be alarmed. It is just a bye week. I will be back with your fresh content next week, as I will have my week 10 game, and I'm also in the lab working on my week 11 game, and will soon be in the lab, probably, I would say possibly at some point later on this week, to get the week 12 game in the lab. So I'm working on getting myself ahead of schedule to try and beat a little bit of some real life things that will cause us to not be on the air or be on your Spotify waves or YouTube waves next week. And the main reason for mine, and I will say it right now, is that coming up is my wife's birthday. But I will say there are things going on. There are things going on that will translate into life.
Yeah. I kind of interrupted you earlier whenever I was talking about the my wife thing. I need a soundboard thing that goes my wife every time someone.
Yeah.
I thought about that for the Clint Eastwood segment too, but I feel like it's closer to the heart whenever I annoyingly go whoa whoa
Yeah.
whoa. It adds
But
authenticity. Um,
but this PC runs my Forza at crisp over 70 frames a second, and I can pretty much be at 1080p 60 for everything that I run. So that's the minimum standard. That's the jeans and a t-shirt. Doesn't go out of style. Can't be any happier with the end result.
yeah. So, like he was saying earlier, are you done or?
Yeah, you're good. I've messed around with Forza Hi-Fi Rush, Cocoon. Tried out a little bit of Starfield, realizing it wasn't for me. So I've been working on a little bit more of future projects that you will see me on here coming up in just about a couple months. I'm gonna be working on solidifying some things there and trying to set the project in stone with a couple of our friends so that I will be ready to go for it in January.
Sounds good. Um, so what I've been up to is I've been kind of going through some DLCs and whatnot. I got back into Cyberpunk. I'm more so just trying to play through my second playthrough of the game. I played through the first playthrough like years ago whenever the game first came out, and then just kind of waited for the game to get better and better with patches and whatnot. So what I have done also is Atomic Heart had a DLC that came out like probably earlier this year. I completely whiffed on that and forgot about it, but I had some money in my Steam account and decided to purchase it. And it's a weird one, because the original Atomic Heart deal was to try and take out like the main bad guy, kind of like in Wolfenstein, where you had to where at near the end you have like a boss battle or whatever. In this, it's like, okay, now the random fridge or robotic fridge, it feels like a Futurama skit in a sense. Like there's like those robots that like roll around and they like kind of like fridges or whatever in Futurama. The one fridge is named Nora, and it's like this robot that has a voice of a girl, and she's like super sweet to you and all this stuff, and it's really weird. That's all. That's as far as I'm gonna get on that before things get way too carried away, because it's a game that's based in Soviet Russia in the future, where robots take over. So that's enough context there. I've also just been trying to get back into Cyberpunk, and then I've been kind of doing this mini grind with Payday 3, where there's a there's a meta in the game that people are abusing, where the way you level up in Payday 3, instead of just playing the game, you can also just play through the challenges, like the gun challenges, and there's a amount of kills that you could get on certain guns that'll level you up quicker, because it's based off of infamy points instead of just standard leveling up in the game. It's kind of repetitive and a grind fest, but and then other than that, yeah, I've been watching more of that Winning Time show that's on HBO Max. I have it through YouTube TV, so that's how I'm able to watch it, and it's pretty damn good. It's the one with Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and John C. Riley's the owner, or I think it was Buss.
Jerry Buss.
Yeah, Jerry Buss. And John C. Riley just plays a really good role as Jerry Buss. And
yeah, it's not even actually Magic Johnson. It's like, yeah, they basically made the thing as a mockumentary of the beginning of Showtime Lakers.
I liked the first season, and the second season came out like a few months ago, and I've just been kind of slowly waiting for the episode / forgot that they released the second season, so I've been watching that. I still on occasion watch Shark Tank, and from time to time, the Kansas City Chiefs YouTube page will post like a behind the scenes episode that's usually a half hour to 45 minutes long, called The Franchise, that they've been doing for 3 or 4 years now, and I've been watching those whenever they come out. The last one I think they had was about Pacheco and his upbringings from being a New Jersey kid, going to Ruckus at college, and then being a 7th round pick of the Kansas City Chiefs, and now becoming a superstar. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. But like Spenna said, we will be not having a pod next week due to circumstances. I will be out of town. That's why I'm not going to be able to do it. But yeah, let's get right into our appetizers here, the starting lineup.
Yep. Starting lineup. And it's not so much an appetizer as it is really just kind of a secondary element of the main course of what
So
this
the
pod is
bread.
going on. Yeah, well,
So like those buttery rolls you would get at Texas Roadhouse.
I mean, the rolls, your soup, salad, whatever you kind of want to call this front end of it. But it's kind of with that and the appetizer all rolled into one, as we are now down to 4 teams left. The Phillies defeated the Braves in 4. The Rangers swept the Orioles. The Astros defeated the Twins in 4. And the Diamondbacks swept the Dodgers. And currently, as of tonight, the Texas Rangers are up 2-0 on the Astros.
Yep, and they won by a score of 5-4 earlier tonight. As the Astros almost kind of came back, but fell short for game 2. So, as Spennis was saying, Texas Rangers are up 2-0.
And on Wednesday, the series moves to Arlington.
It moves from Texas to Texas.
I mean, it basically you're kind of right along, like, just I think the same side of Texas too.
Darn tootin'.
Because you're basically going from, you're in the Dallas Arlington area to Houston.
They're walking on
Really,
sunshine.
the travel time is a little smaller. Not much smaller, but a little smaller. I mean, compared to the Diamondbacks and the Phillies.
What are you, SpongeBob? Stupid? No, I'm Texas. I don't know why that just crawled into my brain. Just there.
Focus, Ruckus. So the question is, how many games? You're definitely not picking the Astros to win the ALCS.
Hell no. I want them Rangers to beat the Stros.
How many games do you think they're giving them?
With the rate this is going, I think they get swept. But in realistic terms, I think the Astros give them 1 game of a fight and then lose the next 2 after. So I would say 5 games.
I think the Astros have a lot more fight left in them, but I think the Rangers ultimately will be the team that I think gets there in 6. I think they'll get there in 6. And then the Diamondbacks and Phillies. I mean, the Phillies right now are kind of blanking them.
They're crapping all over their style. Right now, the game is at is 4-0. I believe I'm looking at it live right now, but it's on commercial.
It's 4-0 Phillies in the bottom of the fifth.
There you go. Yeah, and they're at Citizens Bank Park, so it's even more of an advantage for the Fightin' Phils. And Jason and Travis Kelce are at the game too, which I know we're definitely sick and tired of hearing that, but
Wait. No.
they are at the game. They're in like one of the suites.
Anything with just Jason and Travis Kelce, we are not sick of. If it is Travis, Jason, just them, you probably could even add Kylie in there. It's not a problem.
I mean, if Donna's on there, I give that a A+. Have you seen that commercial where it's Jason and Travis and they're eating Campbell's Chunky? And Donna's like, "It'll be your this is your year, Jason. This is your year." They're just a bunch of kids. It's awesome.
But Jason, it was even to the point that the two brothers on their pod were debating over how many holes were in a straw.
They talk about a lot of dumb things on their podcast, and it's hilarious. I like their commercials the best too. Except for they friggin' stole our thunder. They stole our thunder with the Fireball whiskey commercials. And yes, I will say it. Whenever Travis Kelce does the whoa whoa whoa, I was like, you son of a, like I was like, damn it, they stole it. But they don't really have Fireball as an advertisement all the time, from what I've noticed. So I guess it's not that bad. But I'm still like, really?
Yeah.
But we're also not that big, so it is what it is. They can steal our thunder all they want, but they could also shout us out at some point. That'd be nice.
That is if you even knew of us, guys.
I'm a local Kansas City native. Come on, Travis. Shout us out. I'll even at you on Twitter, and I'll post this video for you. You're welcome. Please.
And here's the thing, I would even be at the point of, I am a fan of a division rival team of Jason's, but I have had multiple years of great success of having Travis on my fantasy football team.
Another reason why Travis should shout us out. Also, my sister's a big Taylor Swift fan, so even a bigger plus for me. Anyways,
I don't think we had to bring the Swifties into this. We really didn't. We could have just left it at just us.
You didn't do it. I did. When you say we, it really means just me. Anyways,
I don't know. I've thrown a Swiftie joke here and there.
It's a love story.
Throughout this whole saga.
All right, NLCS. What you got?
I think it's probably going to. As much as I really would love to see the Diamondbacks get there, I'm sorry. I think clock struck midnight there.
I think the Phillies fanatic got the BB gun and shot the bird.
That was no. My auspicions involving the bird weren't bad. They got the Diamondbacks to this point, but
or actually no. Go ahead.
But the Diamondbacks are right now pretty much playing Cinderella at this point, and unfortunately, the clock struck midnight, the carriage is turning into a pumpkin, and the horses are turning back into mice.
Dude, you know how the Diamondbacks killed a pigeon with Zach Gallen? All the Phillies have to do is is flip the bird instead of shoot the bird. You're welcome. You know, because Phillies fans are ruthless. That was probably a bad comparison, but screw it.
That was a very, very terrible comparison.
I don't care.
But
I'm pretty sure
where we're at on this, I think the AL. I think it'll be the Rangers in 6, but I think the Phillies will. Arizona will get 1, maybe 2. So I probably will say Phillies in 5.
I think it'll be Phillies in 4. I think they're gonna sweep it out. We'll see. All right. So are we now ready?
Yeah. For the Eastwood segment, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Alrighty, are you ready for me to talk about the good?
I was waiting for your sound effect there. That's why
Oh, it went through. I think my audio is coming through on, or it was coming on your end for some weird reason. I heard some like feedback, but now it's back to normal, I guess.
But then it was like I heard cricket, 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 cricket.
No, for me, I did it, and the audience heard it, so screw it. I don't care anymore.
Oh, great! Are we back to this problem again?
Nope. I literally turned it off broadcast mode for a split second so you could hear it, and I looked at my mic audio on OBS, and it was active, so you can eat it. Okay, you could eat it. I think that's a you problem. Get your ears checked, Mr. Spennis. We've been doing this for 73 episodes for F's sake. Come on. 73 fucking episodes.
The good, bad, and the ugly wasn't even there for a third of them.
Shut up, Spennis.
All right. So the good this week, we were entertained by the sheer fact that a top 10 matchup with Oregon and Washington in the Pac-12, pretty much right there, right along the Pacific Northwest, was probably the hubbub of where all entertainment in college football was, as this game was a epic of tug of war. You pull, and ultimately, unfortunately, my pick of the Oregon Ducks pulled a Scott Norwood and left the kick go just a little bit wide right, and Washington got the victory. But that game throughout the entire time was full of aggressive gambles and back and forth lead changes. There were more lead changes than outfit changes in a Taylor Swift concert. Okay, I probably left that one hanging there a little bit too bad. That was maybe some low-hanging fruit. But
I had internal screaming going on in my mind when you said that, and I was just like, don't do it. Don't do it, Ruckus. Don't you dare do it. Plus, I also made a Taylor Swift joke just like 5 minutes ago, so I really don't care.
No, but I was at least saying it was like, at least I was saying there were more lead changes than there were outfit changes at a Taylor. Like, that's a little different.
There are a lot of outfit changes at the Guns N' Roses concert by Axl Rose. Fun fact. When I went, I don't remember how many there were, but my parents were like, wow, he changed like a lot of his outfits.
Yeah. That don't surprise me. And a halftime update for on the Cowboys game. We are now at 10-7 Cowboys at half. And my fantasy football matchup where that's involved, I need a grand total of 9 points. Just 9 points between Tony Pollard and Brandon Aubrey to get me the victory. And I go to 4-2. So
Noise.
but
And I need to look at my fantasy too. I think
while we had the entertainment value of Oregon and Washington on Saturday, WVU losing on a Hail Mary Friday night, all after Hudson Clement had caught a go-ahead touchdown. Huddy got his fourth one of the season on a 50-yarder. But while we had a great amount of entertainment in college football, some not so great from throughout this past bit of time is that teams with 100-win seasons in Major League Baseball not being more dominant in the playoffs. We just mentioned it earlier that the Orioles and Dodgers were both swept, and the Braves lost to the Phillies in 4. It just looked like we needed to have like an APB out for some of these teams. But out of those 3 teams, which one do you think gets the least amount of pass if you ranked them?
I would say Braves number 1 are a big they should have been better kind of ordeal. The Dodgers are number 2 on that because it's freaking Dodgers. They know better and they're better than that. And then third on the strength list is Orioles because the Orioles are a young team and they have many opportunities ahead of them, especially with the run they had. Like, if they could keep that up and make it even better next season, they could probably make it more past than just the ALDS like they did against the Rangers. The Rangers, also keep in mind, had a bunch of young talent emerge at the right times. They had Josh Young come out of nowhere. They had Evan Carter, Ludi Tavares, Adolis Garcia had a great season, and then it helped with the icing on the cake of the veterans, Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Like, you have that, and then you also add in the pitching, which you got Nathan Eovaldi. You had emergence of Max Scherzer, which I guess you could say that, even though he's been kind of hit or miss with his arm or elbow or whatever is going on with him. And then the addition of Jordan Montgomery during the trade deadline really helped their chances, and he's definitely helped benefit the Rangers as they won Game 1 of the ALCS, and he also was dominant in the ALDS. And then you have these other relievers. You got the closer Jose Cleric, or Leclerc, I think is how you say that. And then Josh Spores or Jason Spores, what is a good one. You got Chapman as a good piece to in depth, even though he's kind of a wild man, but he's always been kind of a wild man. But yeah, like, my point is the Orioles have a lot of potential, and the opponent that beat them had a good mix of both, but also the Orioles have a lot of good stuff to come for them later. They're kind of, in my opinion, they're kind of like the Royals from like 2013 to 2014. Like, obviously the Royals did not like have like the best record or whatever and get to be number 1, but they had enough to where they got a wild card, and then that really fueled the fire. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say there.
So where I'm at with this, I think the least amount of pass, I'm actually going to give it to the Dodgers for the least amount of pass.
Yeah, it was a close second between them and the Braves, because, yeah, but keep going.
Exorbitant payroll, and you lose to. And that exorbitant payroll that you spent for guys like Freddie Freeman, and you had Kike Hernandez, JD Martinez.
Which they ended up trading Kike at the deadline, and then they
They traded to get Kike. Well, they traded to get Kike at the deadline.
Yeah.
And then they had, of course, Mookie Betts, Max Muncy. So all these really good players.
Muncy was like hit or miss though too, and he was also on the injured list a lot too.
Yeah, but I just think that even though the Dodgers won 100 games, I don't think you give the Dodgers very much quarter, just simply because they did not get production out of a Clayton Kershaw. They ran into an off-the-field issue with Julio Urias at the wrong time. Like, there's no quarter for the Dodgers, especially because they've been at the top for as long as they have.
Well, that and their health with Tony Gonsolin wasn't on the right terms. They didn't really get Walker Buehler back at a timely fashion, and they just in general imploded.
And you had Bobby Miller and a playoff experienced veteran and a World Series champion in his own right as well in Lance Lynn. The Dodgers, with the pedigree of also experience and championship pedigree, no quarter. Absolutely no quarter. As everyone always totes the Dodgers to be right there in the World Series hunt now every year because they basically become very much like the New York Yankees of the National League. The Braves I have at second. The reason why I have the Braves at second is because they've got the assets secured. They have the foundation to go and make this sustainable. I believe the pitching of the Braves was ultimately their Achilles heel. And the Phillies just knew how to hit with power. And pretty much the Phillies are one of those teams that look like a very power bust team, which is weird for the playoffs because most of the time you really want to thrive in the playoffs playing small ball. And then the team I give the most amount of pass to is the Baltimore Orioles. And that is because they are just young. They're a young team. Now they have experience. Now they have a little bit more seasoning to kind of get back into the AL East. And an AL East that is also extremely competitive. And do it again. The Orioles are only just getting to where they are.
Yeah.
They have only just entered their enlightenment. And the downright ugly, I'm sorry I gotta do this to him, especially with all of the hype that had been surrounded Boulder, Colorado ever since he's come in. I gotta give the downright ugly this week to Coach Prime and his Colorado Buffaloes as they had a 29-0 halftime lead against Stanford. And the alma mater of Captain Andrew Luck beats Colorado 46-43 in double overtime, of which then Andrew would say the war is over. Yes. A 29-0 halftime lead blown. And you lose it to Stanford in double overtime for Stanford's biggest comeback in school history. This is what's kind of happened with Colorado not having Travis Hunter. Is that Travis Hunter has that dog in him. He can play. And having him off the field, especially for how he plays on both sides of the ball, it hurts Colorado. But it's also that sense of don't get overconfident in the halftime in the second half. Just continue to run your business, keep playing not to lose, keep playing to win instead of playing not to lose. And you wouldn't be in this predicament, Dion. He kept trying to go Neon Dion after he's got that halftime lead, and just then showed furthermore that why the Colorado Buffaloes right now are not ready for prime time.
Well, I mean, they don't have Travis Hunter right now, do they?
No.
Which he
No,
was like one of the main
that's
reasons they
still
were
part
doing
of it.
well.
I mean, here's the thing, that's still part of it. But you're up 29-0. Like, don't rest on the laurels because you have 30 minutes of football. You had 30 minutes of football. And
All right.
I'm wanting to look at this a little bit. I'm going to dig into this a little bit more because we are going to see how many points Colorado gave up in each of those two quarters in the second half. Yeah, they gave up 19 points in the third quarter while scoring nothing. They gave up 26 straight points before scoring it. Oh no, Travis Hunter is back. Travis Hunter is back now.
Oh, okay.
He did get a touchdown from Shador. Actually, he got a couple of touchdowns from Shador. But it's 36. It was 36-26 in the fourth quarter with 11 minutes to go. They gave up 10 points in 11 minutes. Then in the second overtime, Colorado just couldn't score. I just think there are right now too many pieces missing in that Colorado setup. And I think that Coach Prime is going to have to work a little bit more on his recruitment, and in quotes, because mostly his recruitment has involved the transfer portal. So it's going to be quite fun to see what goes on from here and where Colorado learns from it. But at the same time, this is bad. Like, this was ugly.
Yep.
And ugly for a reason. And now we go into the high heat. We are recapping week 6 of the NFL season. And we get to kick this one off with a victory as I raise my left hand up for the Commanders. Commanders 24, Falcons 16. And our big question for this game is what direction is each team trending at during this point in the season?
I think the Commanders are trending up. Obviously, they're facing a team that isn't like the most talented team in the world, but they're developing into a very talented team. Especially since you have Desmond Ritter, which is a rookie QB with the Falcons, and then you have a second-year quarterback in Sam Howell, which is really his first year of starting
First
as
full
a.
year as a starter. Yep.
So the Commanders still have a lot of work to do with Sam Howell figuring out his offense and where they want to be as far as the things go with Brian Robertson Jr. You got Terry McLaurin, aka Scary Terry. You have you have Curtis Samuel, which has been having some good stretches here of late, and then you have Jahan Dotson,
Yep.
right?
Yep. But this game, we also had great performances from Kendall. Well, an interception from Kendall Fuller. Great playing from Danny Johnson. Cody Barton had some plays. Because, I mean, it's been defensively, it either been Deron Payne or Montez Sweat or Jonathan Allen. That was pretty much about it. I mean, Jamin Davis. Actually, even Jamin Davis having an interception was huge. So, in short, I think that the Commanders are going somewhere. I think right now I would say they are stagnating, or they are kind of like trending neither up nor down. But I think they are learning. Sam Howell is learning how to help this team trend up. I think that there are a lot of things that have gone wrong with the Commanders, just simply because they still have a lot of backline issues. But at the same time, this is a team that can show that it's got fight. And the Falcons, I think, also are on the same. I think they're on the same trajectory. It was just somebody had to lose that game. And yes, the Commanders' next three are the Giants, the Eagles, and the Patriots. The Falcons' next three are the Buccaneers, the Titans, and the Vikings. With how the Patriots have played offensively, they are even more embarrassing than the Broncos offensively.
Broncos country, let's ride.
The Giants have become a shell of themselves from a year ago. And I think the Commanders can work on some vengeance for that. And then the Eagles, they took them the distance.
Were they going for speed?
I mean, they took them to overtime. But I'm saying like in terms of a fight, like they went the distance. Like they went the distance with them. And we're going toe to toe with them extremely well. I mean, granted, they were getting burnt like toast on the secondary, but the Eagles were showing vulnerabilities there as well. So the Commanders, I think, are a team that is really. They're hungry. They're hungry. And they're showing even more offensively that there's talent and hunger there, which is a whole lot more than what we've seen in years past. Like this is what Bieniemy wanted to do, as far as showing that offensive hunger. And I think we're starting to see some of the payoffs. Now we just got to have the defense do the same thing. And it may involve a change of scenery for one Jack Del Rio if Ron Rivera doesn't go. But I think that both teams are. It might be more at tortoise speed for both of them, but they are slowly and steadily trending upward at the moment.
Yeah.
Bengals 17, Seahawks 13. Was there something else you wanted to express on
No. We're good.
All right. So the question here for the Bengals Seahawks. Following a comeback player of the year winning season, has Geno Smith finally come crashing back down to earth?
I think the answer to that is duh, in a sense, because the Seahawks just haven't looked the greatest since.
Let me put another quote here from the Storage Wars here. Yep. as Geno Smith has definitely come crashing back down to earth. The Bengals are showing that they are a team that they have been down, but they are not out. They are showing resilience. And that, to me, if you are watching, you're watching the good football that has been going on, you could see that the Bengals are fighting back. They got off to a bad start, but it's not like they can't leverage a bad start, turn some things around, get their ish together, and get it right.
Yeah. I think I think this is definitely a good sign for the Bengals, though, when it comes to fighting off some interesting teams like the Seahawks and whatnot.
Yep. And our next one here, the Cleveland Browns 19, the San Francisco 49ers 17. They also the Niners also missed this one. Lost this one on a kick that went wide right. But the real question and concern has come more so because of who they did not have on the field at certain points. And the question is, how will the 49ers weather the potential injury storm brewing as Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel both left this game not to return with injuries? Deebo's is a shoulder, and Christian McCaffrey's is an oblique and a rib.
Well, McCaffrey has had leg troubles in the past when he was with the Panthers, so like seeing this kind of doesn't surprise me in a sense. I was kind of surprised that he didn't go down with an injury when he was playing or when he got traded from the Panthers to the 49ers last season. Deebo is a whole different story because like a couple seasons back he was dealing with a broken foot and had to like miss the season because of that. And then this last season he had a very good one as he was mainly the guy that was like the utility factor where he would run around. He would be like a running back / wide receiver, and he was doing a lot of that, and now he's kind of just like a weapon there, kind of like how McCaffrey is a weapon there. But having both of them out is very is going to be a challenge because it means that Brock Purdy's going to have to go and lean more towards Brandon Ayuk, who has been having some injury troubles too, but he came back from something. I think it was like a
George
ham.
Kittle, anyone?
Yeah, and then Kittle for sure. He's gonna have to pull more weight. And then you have other weapons too, I imagine, but not a whole lot coming out of that. Especially with Debo being gone because of a shoulder, that could be a season-ending thing. Who knows?
I will say this: unless you have a major injury to Elijah Mitchell and then Jordan Mason as well coming up the ranks, I think San Francisco would go to those two. You got to go to Ayuk a little bit more, but then people will also have like Jawan Jennings, Ronnie Bell. But ultimately, the real person that they got to get back into the lineup and have some involvement, especially in the passing game with McCaffrey injured, is George Kittle. Kittle really didn't get a whole lot of looks. And I think that the Niners really ultimately, I believe, weather this storm through their defense.
Yeah.
And here are the next 4 games for the San Francisco 49ers. You have the Vikings on Monday Night Football, the Bengals, the Jaguars, and the Buccaneers. Then you have Seattle and Philadelphia. Then you have Seattle twice and Philadelphia in between. Before you get your schedule softening up a little bit. And some of that may even be barely because of Ravens 49ers on Christmas. So you're at a point now where maybe the front end of your schedule seems a little bit softer, but then the middle part of that remaining schedule, especially when you get to Seattle and Philadelphia, that schedule gets even more difficult.
Yes, it does. All right.
So if they don't get McCaffrey, they may want to focus on trying to get McCaffrey back sooner rather than later, and probably Debo's utility is a little hard to replace, but I'm sure that San Francisco does have the players in order to be able to make that happen. The next question here, Rams 26, Cardinals 9, has the return of Cooper Kupp ultimately brought the Rams back to life?
I think he adds extra depth to the wide receiver room, especially because before he came back, it was Nakua that got most of the snaps. Higbee is also a big receiver. Yes, he's a tight end. I realize that, but you have a lot of weapons at your disposal if you're the Rams. You have Nakua, you have Van Jefferson, you got Kupp.
You don't have Van Jefferson anymore.
Why is that? Is he injured?
Van Jefferson got traded.
Oh. Well, that's news to me. I knew Chase Claypool got traded from the Bears to the Dolphins. Where did Jefferson go?
Van Jefferson went to Atlanta.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Van Jefferson was traded to the Falcons.
When was this?
It was not that long ago. Yeah, they traded him on a few days ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that's news to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
so the number 3 receiver for the Rams right now is Tutu Atwell. Yeah, Tutu Atwell is the one that currently has the ball, or currently would have the third slot. So I think that Cooper Cup adds a leader into that locker room. It adds a number one into that locker room, receiver room for sure. I think that Puka Nakua can benefit from from Cup's emergence and return. I think Atwell could benefit. They did have Kyron Williams, but Kyron Williams also just went down. So the Rams are in the running back hunt again. Or at least searching for another running back that could kind of make their way to the top.
Yeah, especially since they traded Cam Akers earlier this season.
Yep. And he went to Minnesota, where he has also not been as great. So really, ultimately, I think the Rams are going to probably have to start passing more, but they're going to have to be creative in how they pass, which could lead to a lot of targets and a lot of receptions for Cup, Nakua, maybe even Atwell in certain situations.
Jet sweeps will probably be a big one.
Yep. Well, jet sweeps will give them carries, so there's ideas. There are things that NFL teams do. But last but not least, the Jets 20, the Eagles 14, as there are no undefeated teams left in the NFL. But the big question here is, have we found a weakness in Jalen Hurts? Or have there been more strengths in the Jets defense and the improvement of Zach Wilson?
I'm gonna say it's the strengths of the Jets defense. And a little bit of improvement from Zach Wilson. I wouldn't say that Zach Wilson is better. I would say he's slowly but surely improving. It helps to play in the moment rather than play to try more than you need to. A lot of great players have had to deal with that back in the day, like Mahomes, Bryce Harper, LeBron James, Tom Brady. Like, just a lot of great players that have played sports in their life that have had to go through adversity and whatnot. So I feel like Wilson still has a long way to go. And the strength of the Jets defense is scary. Like, it's scary good. Their secondary is amazing. If Mahomes can get picked off a couple times, Josh Allen can get picked off a couple times, and Jalen Hurts can get picked off a few times. Granted, I think you said he only got picked off one time, right?
No, he got picked off 3 times.
Okay. Yeah. My point exactly. Their defense is great, but their offense has to be greater in order for them to be the team that knocks out the Patriots and the Bills in the AFC East. That's all I'm gonna. That's where I'm gonna stop it there on the high heat.
I'm gonna counterpoint you here. The Jets defense is great. Don't get me wrong. Zach Wilson has improved. Don't get it twisted. But I think we've found where some holes in Jalen Hurts' game, especially when there's situations where he tries to Superman it and the Eagles end up becoming kind of hurts him. No pun intended. DeAndre Swift lost a fumble. Jalen Hurts turned the ball over 3 times, all of them picks. He had to throw the ball 45 times in a game. Other than in matchups where you really see the passing game kind of come in, how often are you seeing Jalen Smith throw the ball 40, or Jalen Hurts, I should say, throwing the ball 45 times a game. 11 of those were to Devontae Smith, 10 of them to Swift, 9 to Brown, and 8 to Goddard. So you basically have thrown 38 of your 45 passes to your 4 premier players receiving the ball. I think that this shows that the Eagles just are. I think they're good, but I think that Jalen Hurts might be trying for a little more than what he probably should for a game where he's throwing 45 times and having to deal with the Jets defense. And a lot of those instances it became something a little rough, a little bit rougher for the Eagles to deal with the Jets defense, who was playing extremely well. The Jets only had 2 sacks, but yet they forced mistakes which prevented the Eagles from scoring and can ground a high-powered offense like the Eagles. And with that said, the Jets could and probably will find a way to claw and scratch and climb their way into the playoffs. But I think that this shows the game plan on how you contain the Philadelphia Eagles. This is basically like the revealment of the secret formula to the Krabby Patty.
As it goes straight to an advertisement for a kid's toy. Because they never reveal the secret formula.
Well, they never revealed the secret formula, but I mean, you don't hear a whole lot about the Colonel's 11 secret herbs and spices, but whatever, somehow the plans to the Death Star have gotten out. I'm thinking of a proper formula to say that the plan and the formula and the methods to beat the Philadelphia Eagles have now been unveiled and have now revealed themselves. And it happened in this type of game. Can you blame me for trying to think of some way to make that make sense? Nope. But we now go to the Hot Seat Tracker version 1.0. This is our first run of the season talking about the hot seat. And how high do we want to crank up the heat on these jobs, especially these head coaches? The first one here is Brandon Staley, the head coach for the San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers. McFly?
Oh, sorry. I meant I had my mic muted. I would put Staley at I'd put it at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for Staley.
So you're thinking that Staley, almost no matter what the season does, you're thinking that he's done.
Yep.
I think that the seat I think that the seat is hot, but it will be very, very dependent on a playoff appearance beyond the wild card weekend. Right now, probably I think that Staley is done, but it will be very, very hinged upon some other things that have to go very, very well for the Chargers. The next one is Frank Reich, the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, his temperature is definitely 450 degrees for 12 minutes.
Oh, you're thinking that Frank Reich is also going to get fired after only one season.
Dude, the guy just looks like a sad puppy. Like, I think at some point, like if you were coaching the Colts and the Colts were doing worse with you rather than when they were without you, like, that's a problem. But also, when you're the coach for the Panthers now and you have a young quarterback, you have talent around him, but still can't really get anything done, I think he's going to get fired. I think this is going to be like the second firing of a head coach in the past 2 years that they've had, because they had why am I
Matt
blanking
Rule.
on? Yeah, Matt Rule, the Nebraska coach, or
Yeah.
and then you now have
And then they
Frank Reich.
and then they chose not to sign Steve Wilkes. Extend to keep Steve Wilkes. Which is where ultimately I think Carolina went wrong. But I still believe that the seat for Frank Reich, I think it's lukewarm. I think you're lukewarm for right now. Maybe a little warmer than lukewarm, like maybe like you're sitting in bath water, but not like it's not scalding. Because I mean, Frank Reich can't sit pretty on a winless record, but you got to give him time to build. It it's like you're basically going to say he's going to get fired. I'm like, with how Carolina's kind of kept things a little close, and it's some of it's come down to a little bit of just being unlucky in terms of breaks. I'm over here looking at you like, hold up, we might want to let him cook. We might want to let him cook a little bit longer. Maybe give him another season or two to kind of give it a chance to adjust and see what Frank Reich can do. The next one here is Ron Rivera, the Commanders.
I don't even think there's a simmering. I think it's more just the water is still kind of trying to boil, but you still have the stove top at like 4 or 5 instead of 7 or 8.
You're thinking Ron Rivera is going to be fine.
Yeah, I think he's okay. He's got the talent, and he is doing all right for the most part, I would say. I think he's a better bet than the next guy.
If Ron Rivera misses the playoffs, or gets into a situation where the playoffs cannot be reached, that seat is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. I think you're right now at Jacuzzi levels. I think you're at Jacuzzi levels, but it could hit a scald if things go horribly wrong.
I think we got our title for the episode: Ron Rivera in a Jacuzzi.
I think we had a couple of other things that maybe.
All right, next coach.
The next one is Mike McCarthy.
I think he's more of a boiling in a hot pot of chili, kind of hot on the stove.
Yep. I think his seat could catch even hotter. Like it has a sense of combustion. But I think if things continue to go horribly wrong, I would say be prepared for the spontaneous combustion of that seat.
I think he is like that pot that you would have a Velveeta cheese that you'll leave with the lid on the pot, and then it just gradually heats up to the point where it boils over, and then the lid falls off. Yeah, something like that.
Arthur Smith.
Well, you know how I kind of talked some shit on Arthur Smith being or looking dumb and not looking confident in where he is as a coach and trying to talk about players and whatnot, but I think as far as his actual coaching goes, I think it's okay. It's probably not the best, but I mean, he's doing what he's got to do. I think he's probably like in the in-between point of the jacuzzi and the stovetop. But
yeah, it's a very I would say I think for him it's kind of that lukewarm, like I'd say the bathtub.
Yeah.
The bathtub. Not quite the jacuzzi, but the bathtub.
I mean, the only bubbles that are coming out of that are toot bubbles.
Pat Eberflus. And I think this seat here is probably it has caught fire.
And this is the card.
That is the Bears coach.
Okay.
That is the coach for the Chicago Bears.
I think this one's a weird one because they've had some odd games lately. They beat the Commanders by a lot, and I was hoping that the Commanders would whip them. And then they had a game against another team recently that they beat in a closer game. But I think he is... I think that pot is boiling. For sure.
Yep. Josh McDaniels.
That's a jacuzzi right there.
Yeah, I think it's heating up. I think that seat is heating up. Brian Dable.
All right, Dable is like that cup of ramen that you put the hot water in, and it takes a little bit for the noodles to actually get quote unquote like cooked or not as crunchy. I would say Dable is like that ramen cup before you put the hot water in it. I think he's okay.
I think that you give Dable a small pass.
He had a really good season last year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was an overachieving season with a very, very Jarman-like schedule. That schedule was softer than some Charmin.
And we all know Charmin is ultra soft.
And I pretty much am going to say that, yeah, I think it's lukewarm. Lukewarm. Not ice cold, but comfortable. Kevin O'Connell.
Due to the woes that have been going on recently, and even before the woes, they were doing all right. They just didn't have enough to get the Giants last year, and we all know how the Giants did last year. I think this one is kind of in that like same boat with Dable, but in a sense where Cousins is having a weird year, and they're also dealing with injuries to Justin Jefferson, and then they have been kind of inconsistent on offense. Defense has been good, but their inconsistency on offense is what's killing them, because they have not been really doing it much to JJ as much as they want to, and they haven't been spreading the ball around as much. Like KJ Osborne is a name that comes to mind. TJ Hawkinson has been getting the ball. Alexander Madison has been getting the ball. They got Cam Akers recently, but even as you said earlier, he has still not shown up to the plate as much after being traded from the Rams.
I think that Kevin O'Connell should be okay.
Yeah.
It is going to have to be a very much Kirk Cousins wants to return there and they figure out how to retain him. But if that's all that they really have to retain in order to make that possible, I'm okay with it. I think Kevin O'Connell, and it's mostly been because every single game that Minnesota has had, they've been in. Just the breaks have not gone their way. Like, they're just, those breaks that were going their way last year just were not, it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So that concludes the Hot Seat Tracker 1.0. And now we go to the film room, where I had now include my 2 points for Buffalo getting the victory. And the first game that we have going on is for the film room this week, James Madison versus Marshall.
I'm gonna go.
This is in the Sun Belt.
We are Marshall. If Matthew McConaughey was still that coach, God, that would have been pretty good. Florida State Duke, or
all right. I love me some Marshall. I have respect for Marshall, but that team from James Madison is also undefeated. So I am taking JMU. And now we get to the spice. For 2 points, Florida State Duke.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go Duke. And then Utah USC. I'm gonna go Utah.
Yep, 2 points, Utah USC. I am taking USC. 3 points, Tennessee Alabama.
Tennessee.
That tide be rolling. I know my pastor ain't gonna like me, but I gotta take the Tide here. I gotta take Alabama.
Boo. Boo. Okay. Penn State
for a nickel of points, Penn State, Ohio State.
Or as people officially call it, Penn State versus the Ohio State University. I'm gonna say the Ohio State University. You're welcome. All right.
I also am taking Ohio State here. All right. So, Saints Jaguars. You are taking.
I'm taking the Saints because I believe that the defense will prevail against the Jaguars, even though the Jaguars has a good defense too. But I think it's going to be a mixed one, and I think the Saints take over. What do you think, Spennis?
Wait. All right. I'm taking the Jaguars. I think that Trevor Lawrence is actually a little bit more healthy than what is really being led on. And ETN ETN is going to be able to kind of, I think, set this game at course. I am going to take the Jaguars as ETN will dictate the pace. Lions Ravens.
I'm gonna pick the I'm gonna pick. Sorry, I'm gonna pick the Lions. I was looking at the schedule because I was trying to figure out my wild card lock.
Yep, I am taking the Lions as well. This is probably one of the best Lions teams that we're going to see, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be having Detroit in a lot of these things all year long. For 1 point, Chargers Chiefs.
I'm gonna pick my Chiefs because the Chargers, well, they might put up a good fight, but I still think they're gonna come out with a win. Yes, I shot myself in the foot last year, I believe, when we lost, but it's a new year. Our defense has gotten a lot better. Maybe I have a feeling we're gonna get up to Justin Herbert a few times. And
here we go, because I am taking those Chiefs.
No, you gotta say, how about those Chiefs?
I wasn't even going with how. I was trying not to do fully the how about those, because I'm picking those. Because I was going in that same type of cadence. Or at least the idea. And the Dolphins and Eagles. Do we have Miami, who is rolling right now, or the Eagles, who are looking to bounce back?
I think it's the Eagles.
Something has me wary, but I think that Miami defense is quite on the suspect. That Miami defense is suspect. But I think that the Eagles should be able to keep Tua in check. I am taking the Eagles. And Falcons Bucks. Who we got?
We both have the Falcons.
All right. And the wild card lock for you this week is
I'm torn between either the Rams Steelers game or the Packers Broncos. I think it's gonna be. I think I'm gonna do green. I'm gonna do Packers. Packers beat the Broncos.
Wait. I think I once again This last one, Buffalo had to make it really, really, really ugly. But there are a few games that I really want to look at. I could be looking at the Raiders this week. I could be looking at the Seahawks this week. Heck, my Commanders are an option this week. But I know that it feels weird for me to pick a team twice. This is going to be a lot of carryover for the Browns at this point. I am saying that the Cleveland Browns will have momentum from San Francisco win. I am taking the Cleveland Browns as my pick over the Colts. And now we go to our anytime touchdown scorers.
I've gotten a couple already. I'm gonna have Travis Kelce, Gabe Davis, and then I'm trying to figure out my third. I'm either gonna go this will be a tough one. I'm thinking because you can't have two receivers on the same team, right? You can only have one from each team.
I would prefer one from each team if at all possible, but if
Okay.
a second must be done, it might be a little difficult.
And then I'm gonna do AJ Brown as my third from the Eagles.
Okay, so you are taking Travis Kelce, Gabe Davis, and AJ Brown.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's see, I think for me, what I am looking at doing here is that I am taking Stephon Diggs, Josh Jacobs, and I am between Amon-Ra St. Brown or Kareem Hunt. I am between one of these three players. I am between Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kareem Hunt, or I might even consider Tyreek Hill.
I thought about that too.
But it's Amon-Ra St. Brown against Baltimore. Taking Josh Jacobs to get the touchdown in the Bears game.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go.
I think you got 3 solid ones there.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll it. I'm gonna take Amon-Ra St. Brown. Take Amon-Ra St. Brown.
All right. Now to
So
our
for the
immaculate.
rule, so we cleared up here for the rules for TD scores. We choose 3. If we get none of them, we lose a point. If we get 1, we get nothing. And then we start scoring if we get 2 or 3. 2 of them we get 1, 3 we get 2.
Okay.
And now here we have it. Our primetime game this week is the Immaculate Grid Baseball. And we are going for lowest rarity score, and we get to pick our spaces one at a time.
Okay.
And I will let Ruckus go first.
I'm gonna do Boston, LA, and do JT Martinez. Or JD Martinez, I should say.
JD Martinez. I am going to go Cubs Braves. And I am putting Jason Hayward.
That's a good one.
Cubs Braves, Jason Hayward. All right, where are you at?
I'm gonna do Cubs A's. I'm gonna do Ben Zobrist. If I can spell it. All right. There we go. What are we thinking?
I'm looking at the thought as well because I see a couple of different options I could look into as a possibility. I am probably going to be leaning into my Red Sox A's here, and I am going with Dennis Eckersley.
I'm gonna go Boston and Oakland and do John Lester.
John Lester. Did you already submit it?
Yeah, he played for the A's. He was traded from Boston to the Oakland A's, and the only reason I know this is because he was a pitcher in that wild card game between the Royals and the Oakland A's. And then he went from Oakland to, I believe, either the Cubs or another team. He was a 5%er.
I got 9 for Eckersley. Very interesting. So there's a couple of combinations that I know are not. And the hard part is just my knowledge of tigers. My knowledge
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Think of where I can go that I know somebody played. I am between either going Detroit, Atlanta. I think I'm gonna take my. I think I'm gonna take my Red Sox. I'm gonna take my Red Sox Braves.
I was thinking John Smoltz for the Boston Braves one.
Well, that also was an option I was considering as well. And I actually will take it. Because the one I was looking to put there probably was Craig Kimbrell.
I was thinking that or Pablo Sandoval.
You're up.
Which one did you pick?
I took Smoltz.
All right, I'm gonna do Cubs Braves. I'm gonna do Craig Kimbrell. All right, your turn. The one I'm stuck on is LA, Detroit, and Braves, Detroit.
So it was one I was thinking of here. Tigers Athletics. I'm taking Matt Stairs.
Ooh. Hmm. God dang. I'm gonna go Pablo Sandoval, Braves, and Sox. So Pablo Sandoval.
Yeah, it's actually a good one.
2%. So I already have my thought on Detroit, LA. Braves, Detroit is gonna be an interesting one to figure out. Dodgers, Cubs should be semi easy.
Cubs Dodgers Edwin Jackson.
That's a good one. I was thinking like either um um Alex Wood, or I don't think Alex Wood played for the Cubs. Jason Hayward would be a good one for that.
I took Jason Hayward for Cubs Braves.
Can I do that?
What, for Cubs Braves?
For Cubs Dodgers?
I don't know if Hayward was ever a Dodger.
He was a season homie. Don't you remember? He was like, I think it was more of a minor league deal than it was a major league deal, but he's on the team. He was on the postseason roster. All right, so now I have 3 guesses left. I have the middle left for mine.
Okay.
So Braves, Tigers, Dodgers, Tigers, and A's, Tigers for me.
Red Sox, Dodgers.
I feel like Mookie Betts would be too big of an easy one to do.
I'm actually taking Nomar Garciaparra.
That's a good one. I'm kind of lost on the Tigers A's one. Did you say you did Dennis Eckersley?
No, Matt Stairs.
I'm kind of tempted to do that, but I don't know if that would really be something I could do. I'm gonna take a gamble on Detroit A's and do Coco Crisp.
Like
He was
Coco
never.
Crisp's never a Tiger. Coco
I
Crisp was
lost
never
one.
a Tiger.
Your turn.
Cubs, Dodgers, Greg Maddux.
All right, Dodgers, Tigers, David Price. All right, I'm down to one.
You know what? I gotta laugh. I was considering that after I didn't put him up there for Boston. I actually considered David Price for that spot.
Did Alex Avila ever play for the Braves?
I don't think so.
I guess he played for the Diamondbacks. I don't think he ever played for the Braves.
I actually almost considered. I forgot that I could have considered this. Tigers, Dodgers, Max Scherzer. I mean, granted that was a little bit higher scoring, but granted that I've got a 4, a 9, a 3, a 2, a 7. I can afford that.
Braves, Tigers, or do I go back to Detroit, Oakland? Because did Omar Infante ever play for the Braves?
I'm not certain on that one either.
I don't think he did. Well, shit.
I'm not telling you who I have getting ready to click either.
Austin Jackson?
I don't know if Austin Jackson did.
Nope.
Did you put that one down?
Yep.
You actually would have needed. He actually would have been a fit for a different one that you don't have. You have two of them next to each other, but not on the same line. Tigers, Braves, Gary Sheffield.
Dang.
And the question is, what is your rarity score?
My rarity score is 244.
I ended up with an 86.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
So, the most popular one was... So, go for it, sorry.
the most popular ones, or my highest one was Max Scherzer at 28%, which I only took once.
Dude, I had one 2%er, and that was Pablo Sandoval between the Red Sox and Braves. And then the ones lower was the lowest was 5%, and that was JD Martinez with the Dodgers Red Sox. John Lester at 5%.
I'm shocked that he was at 5.
And then Kimbrel was at 5 as well for the Braves Cubs.
Okay.
And then the next highest was Ben Zobrist at 6, and then the other two were 10%ers with Hayward and Price.
Here were some fun things here. I could have, for Cubs Dodgers, I also could have put Nomar Garciaparra there. So here's where we have it. The players who were the most popular answers for each spot. Dodgers Red Sox, Mookie Betts. Red Sox Braves, Craig Kimbrell. Red Sox Athletics, Johnny Damon.
Oh, I could have had Cespedes.
Tigers Dodgers,
Tigers
Max
A's.
Scherzer. Tigers Braves, Doyle Alexander. Tigers Athletics, Yoenis Cespedes. The most popular spot for Cubs Athletics would have been John Lester at 13%. Greg Maddux would have been the most popular at the Braves spot with Cubs for 25%, and Cody Bellinger was the most popular for Cubs Dodgers. The accuracy for each spot. Red Sox Dodgers 93%, Red Sox Braves 79%, Red Sox Athletics 82%. Tigers Dodgers 80%, Tigers Braves 58%, Tigers Athletics 56%. Dodgers Cubs 85%, Braves Cubs 85%, Cubs Athletics 64%. So the bottom right-hand corner was the trickiest spot. And that was where I landed a combined of 13 points. Garciaparra was at 4%. Maddux at Dodgers Cubs was 7%. So I kind of did myself pretty well on that grid.
Yep. I kind of pinched myself a little bit, but that's okay. Now let's get into the stud and dud.
Yep. All right, and I will let you go first.
All right, so my stud for this week is Harrison Butker, as he still hasn't missed a kick after probably getting told he was going to get beat up if he missed another one of them, because he was really bad he was really bad last season, and this season he's been near perfect, if not just perfect in general, but I don't want to jinx that. And then my dud is the Minnesota Twins, still only managing to get past the wild card round, only to get eliminated by another team in the Astros and the ALDS. And then my honorable mention for a dud was the Broncos offense being only good enough to make sure Sean Payton didn't get shut out of a game during a 16-game win streak of the Chiefs. Because Sean Payton has never been shut out. But it was only good enough.
All right, so my honorable mention is not on the dud side. It is on the stud side. As native to here in the great state of West Virginia, and everyone here was excited for it. Due to the dislocated thumb, or due to a thumb injury for Justin Fields, Tyson Bagent made his NFL debut. He threw 10 for 14 with 83 yards, had the costly interception on an underthrown shot for the equalizer at the end of the game, and had a fumble lost on his within his first few plays that resulted in a touchdown for the Vikings. But he also had the rushing touchdown that cut the lead in half. So, a solid debut for number 17 in Chicago, and we could be seeing more of him heading into next week if Justin Fields is unable to go. But my stud this week is Calais Campbell for getting his 100th career sack, and because he was playing for Atlanta and that nostalgia of the late 90s, I don't know if Ruckus even knows anything about this because he was in diapers when it happened, or when this dance was even trendy. The Dirty Bird was done.
Obviously not. I was definitely making some dirty birds in my diaper, that's for sure, whenever this happened. So
Well, that was when Jamal Anderson made it famous, but you know exactly, but you've seen the dance done. You've had to have seen the dance done. Which basically involves put your right hand up, put it down, and move it over and in.
yeah, I now see it.
In and then flat and then flat.
Yep, I see. I was
Yep.
looking at gifs.
Yep. The Dirty Bird. But my dud this week is also for a celebration. But this time it goes to Tyreek Hill for his touchdown celebration involving a camera phone while trying to do a backflip with it. Lands the flip. But the video, because he accidentally was gripping on it, having the grip and hanging onto it for dear life with a centrifugal force, and locked the screen, he only was able to capture half the flip. It was just a sign that he tried to get cute, but he might get fined later for that celebration. And he had kind of coordinated this whole thing before it even happened.
So what you're telling me is he didn't even have to eat Skittles, but he still didn't want to get fined, or yeah.
No, that's more Sean Lynch.
I know, but
We're talking about Tyreek Hill. Go ahead and take us out, Ruckus, before this just goes downhill even further than where it has probably already gone.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and Menace sports podcast number 73. I am Ruckus.
I'm Ruckus the Menace.
And thank you for listening to our podcast, as next week we will be out, but we will make sure to get you guys the breakdown of the weeks of week 7 and I believe 8.
We'll probably, actually, I believe we'll probably just focus on week 8 at that point. Kind of like what we did with week 2. We kind of like skipped it just because I was out with COVID, but where we're at right now, yeah, I think we definitely look into week 8 and seeing where we're at here in a couple weeks. Keep in tune with the YouTube for the franchise race. Ruckus will only have his video this coming Friday, and then I kick off, or well, I will return with the week on the 27th with a vid for week 10, and we will have week 10 then, and then week 11, and then continue on for the rest of the season that we have, hopefully. And I wouldn't be surprised if we both got there. That we both come away with a Super Bowl.
That'd be insane.
I think if we both get it, we both get it.
Yeah.
But I have a funny feeling that depending on who I play in the playoffs, my situation could be a little dicier. But do we have any score updates for the people?
The Phillies beat the Diamondbacks 5-2 as Kimbrel made a save. Other than that, not a whole lot.
And with 2:36 to go, the Cowboys and Chargers are tied at 17. And I have already secured the bag in my fantasy football matchup as Tony Pollard got me the last point I needed.
And I lost to make my record 0-6. Rest in peace.
I improve to a great record of 4-2 in one league and 2-4 in another.
Why? Why? That's me right now. I'm just like, oh well. Anyways,
right,
we'll see you guys.
Everybody have a good one.
See y'all.